Welcome, welcome, welcome. You guys know who it is. And to those of you who don't know who it is, we're going to let you know what it is. To the Credit Repair Show with your host, the Credit Doctor, Angelo McCutcheon, coming to you with another quick video on the credit repair process. Now, you know what we do when you come into the room, whether you're watching on TikTok, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure you follow us so you can get any updates every time we go live, so you'll know that we're here talking about credit and how to improve your credit, how to deal with debt collectors, how to deal with the credit bureaus. We come with all the information that you need to help you repair your credit, because you know what our motto is, right? You do not have to live with bad credit. There is something you can do about it. And in life, all of us can have good credit, that we can fall back down, but we can get back up. As long as you know the process, then you can do it. So we're here to give you some of the process on how you can start taking that credit that may be in the 400s or 500s and start raising it back up to where you need to get it. Now, as I often say, and even before I say that, for those of you who may be new, my name is Angelo McCutcheon. As you see, I'm the founder of my company called the Faithful Credit Group, LLC. We've been helping people repair their credit for over 15 years. We've been educating and giving people the knowledge, even if they decide they want to repair it themselves. We kind of give you enough information to at least get you started. Now, every subject that I talk about, of course, I don't give you everything about any particular subject. I would have to do like 6-hour lives to do that, and I ain't about to do that. But I try to give you enough in the next 15, 20 minutes where you can actually start building more credit or building more information on how to repair your credit, all right? So any subject that I talk about, it's not all inclusive. You can get more information. You just have to do the research, all right? Now, also, I want to say all the information that I give you, it's, I don't give out legal advice. I am not an attorney. Sorry, I don't play one on YouTube. I don't play one on Facebook, and I don't play one on TikTok. If you need legal advice, then I'm going to ask you to seek out a consumer attorney for any legal advice. All the information I'm going to give you is for educational purposes only, that I believe if you use it can help you start the process of cleaning up that credit. All right, so today we're going to be talking about, do you have errors on your credit report? Do you have errors on your credit report? Now, remember, keep this in mind, you guys, and let's get some likes going. Let's get some hearts going. I see you guys in the room, so let's get some hearts and likes going up, all right? Don't be afraid. It's free. You can, on TikTok, there you go. Our TikTok is always on point. You can tap my forehead and just send it up, all right? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so let's keep going. While you send up those likes, let's keep talking. Now, there was a study that came out a few years ago, and it said 70%, and this study can be found on the Federal Trade Commission's website, just so you know. I'll give you the source. On the Federal Trade Commission, where they themselves didn't do the study, but they had someone who did a study, and they actually put it on their website, which means they kind of approve it, where it said that 70% of consumers have errors on their credit report, have some type of error on their credit report. 70% of consumers have errors or some type of error on their credit report. And these errors are affecting their ability to get credit, affecting your ability to get credit. It's affecting your credit score in a way that it should not. And we're talking about errors, not things that are legitimate. We're talking about errors that most of you guys don't even know exist on your credit report. I have a lot of clients that when we pull their credit reports and begin to go over it, someone will be like, oh, I didn't even know that was there, or I didn't even know that was there. I didn't know that was there. Right? Because one of the things that we don't do is look at our credit reports. A lot of us are, somewhat ashamed or somewhat afraid because they know that there are a lot of things on there that might be kind of messed up. So, you know, they put things on there that shouldn't be, or they're just afraid to look at it. I get a lot of clients who I ask, when's the last time you looked at your credit reports? And they'll tell me it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And so therefore, if you have errors sitting on there and they've been sitting on there for a long time, they have been affecting your ability to get good credit, or affecting your ability at home, that car, that nice apartment, that business loan, whatever it may be, because you keep getting denied and you don't know exactly why. And they keep telling you it has something to do with what's on your credit reports. But some of the things on your credit reports may be errors. And if the study says 70% of Americans have some type of error on their credit report, that's saying a lot. So the question is, do you have errors on your credit report? If you're in that 70% range, I'm pretty sure you do. You probably just don't know what to look for. So we're going to talk about some errors that may be on your credit report that you are unaware of. And here's the thing, when you decide to try to fix these errors, a lot of times the credit bureaus will give you a hard time, right? Some of you guys have sent out dispute letters and it came back verified, and you know it was a mistake. You know something that you was disputing was an error. But the credit bureaus come back and say, oh, we verified it as it being accurate. Or they'll send you a stall tactic letter, which we talked about before, saying that, hey, we received your dispute letter, but it looked like it came from a third party. Or, oh, we received your dispute letter, but you need to provide us with one of these documents, copy of your driver's license or social, which you sent when you did it. So they'll send these stall tactic letters to discourage you from cleaning up your credit. Now, why would they discourage you from cleaning up your credit? Why? Because the credit bureaus do not make money cleaning up your credit. Let me say it again. The credit bureaus do not make money cleaning up your credit. They only make money selling your credit to the credit bureaus, or even selling it to you when you take on one of their monitoring systems. Right? So that happens. The credit bureaus are constantly, again, they don't make money when you try, like I said, they don't make money when you're trying to clean up your credit. When I bought my house, I found I owe 1 month rent from an apartment from 12 years earlier with my ex. That happens, right? You'd be surprised what's sitting on your credit report that you need to get off. Some things you'll think, hey, the statute of limitation, they should take it off automatically, but sometimes they don't. You have to be the owner of your own credit report. Don't assume that, well, that was a long time ago, they're going to take it off. You need, and I've been saying this for years, everyone needs to be looking at their credit reports at least twice a year. At least twice a year. Now, you can look at it as much as you want, but at least twice a year, because you'll be surprised what type of things will end up on your credit report. Now, the law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right, basically lets you know what creditors can and what they can't do when it comes to putting information on your credit report. And that same law says to you, yeah, I understand that, left the month hanging, but your name was on the lease. Yeah, I know that was a problem. And I hope you cleared that up since then, right? But they listen, the credit bureaus are constantly avoiding, in many cases, when you send out dispute letters, they don't even respond to it. That's why I say it's up to you to stay on top of it. You have to stay on top of it. Again, don't assume that, hey, this was old, it should be done away with. Don't assume that everything on your credit report, and in terms of negative items, don't assume that everything on there is accurate. Now, the Fair Credit Reporting Act also says that you have the right to dispute anything on your credit report that you believe is inaccurate or incomplete or unverifiable. Those three things. Now, incomplete may be the hardest one on there, but inaccurate is probably the best one that you can really dispute on there. Inaccurate incomplete, or unverifiable. And if you take a look at your credit report, I can't say guarantee, but I'm almost sure that if you guys are in that 70% and you know what you're looking for, you will find some type of error on your credit report. You may see an account that was never yours. You may see places where they say you live, you never live. They may have numbers, cell phone numbers, telephone numbers that you no longer have, or it's not even yours. You may see accounts that you never applied for on there. You may see balances on accounts that you do have reflecting the wrong amount. You might see the date that it was open could be inaccurate. The date that it was closed could be inaccurate. The high limit could be inaccurate. All the things that I'm saying I've seen on people's credit report. And people assume that, hey, I had a Capital One, so everything about that account must be mine. But when we look at that Capital One account, we start seeing things in there that, hey, are not accurate information. And then we get to disputing it and ask them to provide the proper documentations. 90% of the times they can't do it. Now, they might fight you on it because, again, fixing your credit is not an overnight thing. It is definitely not an overnight thing. You didn't mess it up overnight, and you're definitely not going to fix it overnight. So it takes time and it takes patience. But if you know what you're doing and you're consistent at doing what you're doing, you can get it there. Now, we ain't even talk about collection letters, debt collectors. That's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole nother ball game. Now, my report showed nothing about it. My score was 740s. Mortgage lender found. Yeah, because again, some things that don't get reported on your credit reports, particularly if it's an apartment or something like that, it gets reported on another type of website called, I think, apartments.com or something like that, where they keep all, if somebody believes that you owe the money when you left, they'll report it there. So they may not report it on your credit report, but they'll report it on these other websites when it comes to apartments. And then when mortgage company look at it, not only do they look at your credit report, but they're going to look to see if you have any judgments that don't get reported on your credit report. And they'll see that if you have any other outstanding debts that doesn't report on your credit reports, but may report on another website. So yeah, a lot of times these things happen. So sometimes you may not know about it. Sometimes people do know about it and just avoid it, hoping that it would just go away. Yeah, I know that's right, CK1. It wasn't even worth reaching back out 12 years ago. Wasn't even worth it. And maybe it even shouldn't have been on there in terms of statute of limitation after 12 years. I know on the credit reports, you can only stay on your credit report for 7 years from the last time you made a payment on it, right? So that's another thing you want to look into. And we'll talk about that on another video, all right? So here we're talking about, do you have errors on your credit report? And we tell you that there was a study. You can go on the Federal Trade Commission website, look it up. Said 70% of consumers have some type of error on their credit report that's affecting their ability to obtain credit, to obtain a good mortgage, to obtain a loan, an auto loan, or anything like that. They're being charged high fees because of these errors, not the things that's legit, but because of these errors that's on there. Also, basically, CK1, you had a judgment. If it was a court order, which means you had a judgment. Now, judgments can hang around for 20 years. Judgments can hang around for up to 20 years, right, from the time it got filed. So there was a judgment. That's how they found it. Okay. And because, like I said, the mortgage company lenders, they will look at your public records to see if you have any judgments, anything like with bankruptcies on there, which could hurt. And then they just want you, like you said, they want you to take care of it so they can move forward with getting you that. But they will look at those things. All right. So you see these errors. Like I said, it could be the balance. And not only the balance, but here's something that I see a lot. Here's what I see a lot. Let's say you have a Capital One account. And Capital One, I'm just going to use you for an example, that for just example purposes. All right. So let's say you owe Capital One $5,000. And let's say you don't pay it for whatever reason. You lost your job, medical reason, whatever the case, you don't pay it. So they begin to, after 6 months, they charge it off, right? And they may or may not sell it to a debt collector. We'll get into that later, hopefully. But it starts being reported on all three of your credit reports. Now, here's what I find a lot of times. People will say, well, I know I had a Capital One, so, I know that's my account. Without even looking at it, they just assume that's my account. I know I had one, so yeah, I got to pay that. But when I begin to help my clients look at all three of their credit reports, we may see something like this. Now, keep in mind, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is the laws that govern this industry, says whatever goes on your credit reports, it has to be 100% accurate. It has to be 100% accurate. Now, everybody, the TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, just type in the word 100%. Type in the word 100% because we're going to get into that. 100%. And the reason why I want you to type it in is because when you're typing it in, it kind of clicks and stays up here for the future, and you understand what we're talking about. So just type it in 100%. Even if you're watching this as a replay, type in right now 100%. There was a law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, that says whatever goes on your credit report, it has to be 100% accurate. It has to be 100% accurate. So with the example that we're going to use with Capital One, this is what we find a lot. Not all the time, but this is what we find a lot. So they may report to TransUnion that you owe $5,000. But then they'll report to Equifax and say you owe $5,000 and maybe $10. And then they'll report to Experian $5,005. It'll be something, but basically you'll see three different numbers in the balances. Now, obviously, whatever you owe can't be three different figures. You can't owe one company for one account that they're charging you for $5,000, $5,010, $5,005. So therefore, if those three numbers are reporting differently on your credit report, then it is not 100% accurate. Somebody got it wrong. And because you don't know who it is, you have the right to dispute that information. And that can go for any account that you see. Or you may have done something like this: file bankruptcy. Say you file bankruptcy, and then let's say a month later, 2 months later, or even a year later, you happen to look at your credit reports. You see the bankruptcy on there, but under the accounts, it may show a balance for the accounts that's under bankruptcy. It may still show that you owe $5,000. That's a violation. That's an error. That's a violation. Because when you file bankruptcy, every one of your accounts should have a zero balance. If you file bankruptcy and it was approved, every one of your accounts under that bankruptcy should have a zero balance. You know what we find sometimes? That they do have a balance. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them do have a balance. So do you have errors? I'm trying to show you that there are errors that are being made consistently on your credit report. The same thing, if you have a collection account, right? If you have a collection account that shows up on your credit report, there should not be a balance on that account. They should not be shown a balance of whatever, because the account was charged off. And again, if account was charged off by the original creditor and they sold it to a debt collector, they should report a zero balance. A lot of times we don't see that. We see that they still have a balance even after selling to a collection. And sometimes collection companies put a balance. If a collection company has your account, they should not be showing any payment dates. That's another thing that we find out when it comes to errors. They should not be reporting any payment dates. They shouldn't be 30 days late, payment on time, 60 days late, 90 days late, 120 days. A collection company should not be reporting that. Only the original creditor can do that. If a collection company is reporting payments, that's a violation. That's inaccurate information. You have the right to sue them for that, because they violated the Fair Credit Reporting Act or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. If it's a debt collector, it's the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that they violated. Now, let me say this too, because this is going around. I'm starting to see some bad information by these credit repair gurus out there. They're hearing something and then they're reporting it also. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and the Fair Credit Reporting Act does not say that collection accounts can only stay on certain accounts can only stay on your credit report for 2 years. That is not accurate information, but I'm starting to see that people, are reporting this bad information. There is no law that says within the Fair Credit Reporting Act or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, there is no law that says certain accounts can only stay on your credit report for 2 years. That's not true. According to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, charge-offs, collection accounts, late payments, things like that can stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. For up to 7 years. Doesn't mean it has to be 7 years, but it can't be past 7 years. And it's 7 years and it starts from the last time you made a payment, right? For that whole account to be deleted. Now, you got some late payments. Again, each month consists of 7 years. So, for instance, if you were late in the month of July, right, but then you made a payment in August, well, that late payment in July can stay on your credit report for 7 years before it has to fall off. And again, don't wait for them to assume that it's going to fall off. They're going to take it off. Be conscious of looking at your credit reports. Be conscious of looking at your credit reports. So everyone has, well, I'm going to say 70% of all consumers have some type of error on their credit reports. And I'm pretty sure that 70% consists of a lot of you guys. So check your credit report, find out what's going on, dispute these errors, follow up with them until they're wiped clean, because you don't need anything on your credit report that's inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable. All right, so I hope I've said something to encourage you guys. Again, this is Angelo McCutcheon, known as the Credit Doctor, helping people repair their credit for over 15 years. All right, if you have any questions that you would like to reach out to me or email me, you can do that. Just inbox me, TikTok DM me, Facebook inbox me. You guys know how to reach me. All right, if you have any questions, and if you want a free consultation, we can give you that as well. All right, so you guys stay blessed until we meet again. Stay blessed. What's even more important is that you guys are a blessing.